Hey there, everybody. I'm making a video of a machine that I have previously restored, and recently I've been taking Singer machines, the 66 model, and been doing upgrades to them. And by that I mean all of my machines are fully restored and overhauled, but with the upgrade I'm actually adding things that make them more powerful. Most vintage sewing machines don't need to be more powerful. They are so strong that they sew all sorts of heavy weight material, and they do an excellent job because they were created to. So for a lot of the things you guys are coming to me, a lot of people come to me for vintage machines because they want to sew heavy material, and an upgrade is not really needed. This is a specific kind of upgrade that I am making for the whole purpose of creating sort of a specialized machine. This is for people who have projects that are so heavy duty that they are thinking about an industrial machine, and with all the sort of pros and advantages of an industrial, there are disadvantages. And so I decided to take a tried and trusted Singer design, which is the Singer 66, and I have been modifying them to allow them to sew even stronger than the normally strong vintage machine. So this is something that some of you may have a special need for if you are working on a lot of marine projects like marine upholstery, or particularly boat enclosures, things when you're sewing lots of layers of Sunbrella or marine vinyl, the window vinyl that you put in the bimini tops in the enclosures. These are the types of materials that I find that people sometimes want to sew, and this can make it a little easier for their machines to do so. So I'm going to do some sewing for you guys today, showing the changes, because since I originally listed this machine and restored it, I've actually added a different, some different parts and pieces basically to give it more speed and more torque. And I'm also going to be sewing some leather, garment leather, and you often see me do this in my videos, but in this situation I'm going to be sewing more layers of garment leather than I normally would. So again, this is something I've noticed people sort of looking for and trying to answer that demand. And so far, there's been a lot of great response. I'm actually having to work hard to keep them in inventory. So I'm going to start today. This is, of course, the Singer 66 Centennial. It has a crinkle finish. When it comes to the color of the machine or the finish itself, that is not really has no impact or bearing on how it sews. That was just a different choice you had when you bought these new. So one of the things I'm going to do, first I'm going to start sewing heavy denim. This is high quality Levi's denim, old pair of blue jeans that I've sacrificed for the purpose of testing sewing machines. You often see me do lots of layers, and today I have a size 18 jeans needle. So this is one of the strongest needles you can use, and I suggest you use this with any kind of heavy fabric. So I'm going to start. Let's start with 4 layers. Sometimes I start with a lot less, but in this case I want to start with 4, and I'm going to put the dark side of the denim on each side so we can look at the stitches both front and reverse. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Anytime you're sewing anything dense, whether it's a few layers or a lot, you really want to start with your needle down in the fabric, and this will give your machine sort of a leg up on getting going. I've got a long stitch length here, which is really best for showing you guys the stitches on camera. Now this machine will sew more quickly than I'm going, but when you're sewing dense material, I mean 4 layers of denim in itself is pretty dense, you really want to sew at a moderate speed. The machine is willing to do more, and you've heard me say that many times, but your needle has got to have time to get through this dense material. We're asking a lot of the needle. This is a Schmetz jeans needle, size 18, but still we don't want to ask more of that needle than we can. So I'm going to pull this out and let you guys see just initially what I've got here. In the sunroom, and hopefully, I mean, those are just gorgeous stitches. And then look on this side, this is the other side. Beautiful balanced stitch. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more layers. Let's go to 6. And I'll cover both sides, that way we can keep up with which which rows of stitches we've got. By the way, with a size 18 needle, I'm sewing with a upholstery weight thread. This is a UV resistant thread a lot of my customers use on their boats. It's a heavier thread because it's being asked to have a much heavier duty application when you think of those boat tops and the wind and so forth. And if you don't have boat tops, you don't have to have a marine need. You could be making things like car covers or heavy sunbrella upholstery for outdoor furniture, for example. So again, I'm going to start with my needle down and just let her sew. And again, just going at a nice, easy pace. And anytime you're sewing heavy stuff, again, you're going to want to do this no matter how much power you have. I would highly recommend that you never gun or highly rev any sewing machine, no matter what you're using, when you're doing fabric of this level of density. Okay, so now you guys can see this is now 6 layers of denim. A lot of your new sewing machines for the home won't even do 2 or 3. They're pretty lame, but you've seen me do denim and heavy material many times on many of my machines with no upgrades, and it's totally fine. Again, this is a very sort of a specialized need. We have a lot of we have Lake Wylie and Lake Norman in this area, in the Charlotte area, and we just have a lot of people who have boats. But I have a lot of people who want to do slip covers, maybe really heavy upholstery work, and this is a great machine for that. So now I'm going to go to 8 layers. And you'll notice I'm checking the space under my presser foot, and I'm actually going to loosen the pressure just a bit. Because remember, you've got to make some adjustments when you go up to something this is a big change from doing, say, a lightweight cotton dress, which this machine can also work on. And so you want to make those adjustments. Again, the machine was designed to do a lot of things, but you need to give it the benefit of the doubt. So let's see what we get here. Notice I'm going to go even slower. And I'm listening closely. I want to hear if my needle's making any weird sound. Because if it does, it could be getting sort of warped. And if my needle gets warped, it's going to be running up against things like the shuttle below. And I don't want to break a needle, and you could when you're starting to get to the limits of the machine. So let's take a look after I drop my scissors. So again, you're seeing yet again. And notice how the machine is it's so forgiving. It makes a gorgeous stitch. Even when I go up this much, it's not losing tension. Sometimes you will want to adjust your tension. Now, I'm going to intentionally push the machine to a level. And again, it will speak to me because I've done 9 layers before. And the last time I tried 10, the machine I was working with sort of said, no, it wanted to do 9. So let's see if I get 10 layers. And I don't think you would be sewing 10 layers for 10 hours a day on this machine. It was not designed for that. So I want to be very careful to never oversell anything because all machines have their limits. But the purpose of this video is to show you guys that you have options. If you want to sew something heavy and you're like, should I get an industrial machine? Can I do it with a home machine? Most of my home machines will do this, again, without any modifications. But I created this special machine for those of you who kind of fall between the vintage heavy duty machines for the home and industrials, and this is non-industrial. Singer made industrial machines, but this machine was not used in factories, but it was used for all sorts of heavy duty applications, and for many of you I think this is better suited to you than an industrial machine, and there are many reasons for that, and I can go into that if you come and see the machine. So now you're going to see I'm going to lift up again. I have a pretty decent amount of clearance for a vintage era machine. So now I'm going to lighten my pressure just a little bit more because I don't want the machine to be pressing too hard and fight with itself. But I need enough pressure in order to get the fabric to feed. Now I'm going to approach this very carefully, as any of you should, right? Because now I'm going through 10 layers. I want to make sure my needle is going to go down straight. Yeah, and now it's basically pushing back on me and saying, no, I don't want to go through this many layers. And so you need to be aware and be cautious about, you basically want to listen to what your machine's saying to you, because machines have a way of behaving, and they let you know when they're not happy. So I'm going to go back to 9, and this is what I did in my last machine. And let's see if the machine will give me permission to go through 9 layers of denim, which again is beyond what any real domestic machine was really created for. Now let's see. Now in this situation, it seems to be willing to do that. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to pull it out and go back, and I'm determined to see if it will let me do the 9 layers. If it, or the 10, excuse me. And if it doesn't, I'm still pretty impressed with it. I cannot complain to this machine. Okay, let's see what the machine has to say. I'm going to come down into the center here, where I get a little bit more flexibility in my fabric. Okay, you'll notice I'm going very slow, guys, and you'll hear a little sound, and what you're hearing is the needle is under a lot of strain. Yeah, and it stops. So basically, this machine is repeating what I've seen in other machines. I can go to 9 layers of thick denim. If I try to go to 10, the needle begins to bend, and it wants to start hitting the shuttle, and that's not something you want. I didn't break my needle because I needled watch for that. So again, you're looking at, let me first show you, this was 9 layers. And that's just an amazing thing for any machine to do. Most of you guys are never going to do this, but I wanted you to see, if you've got a heavy application and you've been disappointed in other sewing machines before, I wanted to show you what your options were. Now normally, I'm going to hurry up before I run out of time here. I normally do 2 layers of garment leather. I did 3 on a machine earlier today, which was my zigzagger, my Japanese machine. I'm going to do 4. See, now remember, I have a jeans needle in here. I don't have a leather tip needle. And I'm going to see if the machine will tolerate my asking it to do this, just for the sake of time. Any of you who sew any leather on a sewing machine, you know that you really should put a little bit of pressure back down. You know that you should be using a leather tip needle, because that is designed to puncture leather, which has a very different density. I'm going to tighten things down here a little bit. I actually added a little belt tension here because, again, leather feeds a little differently than fabric because it has a different sort of friction that goes on with it. But I'm going extra slow, and again, I advise all of you guys to always go slow when you're sewing anything of this thickness. There's no reason to go fast. You don't want to break a needle. But those are really incredible stitches. If you look here, you'll see they're very consistent. Now on the other side, this is the suede side. They're a little hard to see, but this is right in here is where you should see them. You know, that's pretty amazing, and I don't think any other home sewing machine, not even my other vintage machines, will do this. Most of you don't need this, but if you do, reach out to me and set up a time. You can come and see the machine. If you have heavy materials of your own you'd like to try out, let's get them under the machine. I have the different needle types and thread types that we can set up, or I can demonstrate it for you if you're new to sewing. So anyway, just really excited that this has been working out, and there seem to be a lot of people who are finding this sort of upgraded, extra heavy-duty vintage sewing machine useful. Thanks for watching.